700 islands wrapped in turquoise dreams. Every voice matters, every soul redeems. With a heartbeat broadcasting truth across the waves. Information, liberation. This is how a nation stays. From Andros to Abaco, a love at a Grand Bahama shore. We're reaching every family, knocking on every door. Not just talking policy, baby, we're changing lives. When social service meets compassion, that's when hope survives. We speak your language, we know your name. Through the airwaves, through the struggle, we remain. Building bridges over water, building trust on solid ground. The Bahamas Ministry, where love and justice can be found. We are islands of care in an ocean of need. Planting faith like coconut trees, watching future succeed, watching them grow. Broadcasting truth, serving hearts, making sure you're heard. The Bahamas rises together when we honor every word. This is more than ministry, baby. This is sacred ground. When social services meet heaven, that's when grace abounds.
Suicide or attempted suicide is driven by deep hopelessness, intense emotional pain, or mental health conditions. The helpless and hopeless is becoming a social issue worldwide. In the United States, nearly 48,000 Americans die by suicide each year. That's 132 per day, or one death every 11 minutes. In the Bahamas, the most complete data available is from a 2014 study by Kevin Bethel and Dr. David Allen, which reported 96 suicides between 2000 and 2013 with a male-to-female ratio of 7-1. In recent years, that number has remained steady, with 6 suicides reported in 2023, 8 in 2024, and by March 2025, there was 6 suicides. I was having a discussion with Dr. David Allen. He was saying, part of the challenge in our country and the topic of suicide, there's so much shame. And that's how we are with social issues. I'm always so humbled and grateful to the courageous patriots who prepared to come on camera. I said to Miss Alice Hepburn, who you'll meet in a moment, whose son committed suicide, I said, do you want us to cover your face? No, this is part of my therapy. That's maturity. I appreciate that. There's no shame in that game. We make mistakes, and maybe she didn't make the mistakes in the area of suicide. We're going to find out in a minute. But there are things happen in all of our lives. And our experience is not only for us to learn, but is to help others to learn. My good friend William Lunn, I knew him for many years, and he was a drug addict, all kind of things, thief and everything. That's what Bahamians say. For those of you watching around the world, we sometimes drop the H and the T's, but he is fully reformed. But he also shared with me that he has attempted suicide. We're going to talk in this segment about how this impacts lives and how do we get to this point of hopelessness and helplessness. William Lunn, Alice Hepburn, we want to welcome you to this segment.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having me too.
It's our pleasure. What is this that drives you, beginning with Mr. Lunn, to the point where you feel so desperate that you would think about taking your life?
I was ashamed of myself. For a long time, I didn't acknowledge that I had a problem. I thought I was all of that. And after going through so many times in prison, living in the bush, being beaten, being attacked, waking up in the hospital not knowing how I got there, being in a lot of intense pain, I finally came to the place in my life where I just felt so ashamed of myself, and I felt so much pain that I didn't feel life was worth living anymore.
What causes pain?
Well, part of it was my ego. When I was in school, I was known as the playboy. I was on the basketball team. I was good looking, had a lot of girlfriends, etc., etc., etc. And when I started using drugs, I even was abused, sexually abused.
By who?
By homosexuals when I was a little boy. And so I hated homosexuals. Yet, when I was in my state of drug abuse, there were times I engaged in homosexual activities just to support my habit. And so I really, really just felt so ashamed of myself. I felt like that was a stain on me that couldn't be removed.
So you knew the difference between right and wrong?
Yeah, I always knew the difference between right and wrong. It's just only now I realized I was a slave. It wasn't that I didn't try. I went to churches. I was in and out of rehabs. I did everything I thought I knew to do, and I just couldn't seem to...
But what do you think is the root of the problem? You knew the difference between right and wrong. You were a good-looking fella, had the girls of choice at school. Was it something at home? What caused you to take the wrong road and make the wrong choices?
I would have to go back to my earliest recollections of my childhood. And that would be, I did not grow up in a loving environment that was conducive to wholesomeness and just having a feeling of stability and love. My father, at the time, he was a drunkard, he was a gambler. Sometimes he'd come home after losing, and he would take it out on me. Many times, like when he came home, I didn't know if he was in a good mood or a bad mood. And sometimes whatever came to his hand, he would just beat me sometimes till ridges come on me. So I hated him. So guys would come in the back of our yard and and hang out because we had a lot of space and there was a lot of bushy areas. And they used to smoke and they used to drink. And but I remember the time when they put the joint in my mouth and I coughed. But they said, "Listen, little, this can make you hot." And even though I didn't...
How old were you?
I was about 8 or 9 at the time. And even though I didn't feel anything that much right then, what I felt from them was a sense of being, a sense of belonging. Like they accepted me. And I didn't get that at home. So I started smoking and drinking just for acceptance. And I think that spilled over into the rest of my life because that's how I got into womanizing. When I found that what had happened to me, that it was sissing around, etc., to break that stigma, I felt the only thing I could do was have a lot of women. So I started going with a lot of these different girls, not knowing that I thought I was hunting, but I was the one who was hunted. And I ended up in a trap of lust that pervaded my life long after even when I first got saved and got delivered.
We're going to come back to you, but Ms. Seburn, your son, how old was he when he took his life?
He was 16 years of age.
At 16, what do you think in reflection? And I'm sorry because, death, love is stronger than death. And that means even though he is dead, your love still reigns supreme. So I still extend you condolences.
Thank you.
But tell me your story. Tell us your story.
This has been, I think, the 5 or 6 year in, and I still don't have an answer. There wasn't any notes left, any real signs to say, okay, my kid is suicidal, he is crazy, or he's doing some things, or not out of his mind, or it wasn't nothing. My Connor was a happy child. Like, he was the life of the party. We used to call him Lil Wise, you know. He would always, be like, Mommy, you's a diva. You's a diva, Mommy. I say, yeah, you was my classic man, you know, because I always teach him how to carry himself and groom himself. Very handsome, by the way, you know, so he always had all the girls on his line and all that stuff. So with experiencing whatever I experienced left me a void that can never, ever be filled. And the day that it happened, like about 2 weeks before that, he came to me. He was like, Mommy, I didn't get my NIB card, and I don't have my passport as yet. And I was like, okay, me and your daddy's going to get it together. As soon as I talk to him, you're going to get it together. I said, you know, I apologize to him for my mommy. You know, Mommy been going through some challenges, you know, but I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it for you, you know, because I want you to travel next year. So that Thursday, like about 2 weeks Thursday, the Thursday before he committed suicide, I went to the National Insurance Board, which is located on Carmichael. And I proceeded to get his NIB card, his first NIB card. He was 16, just turned 16 March.
He's looking forward to that.
Yes, he was looking forward to that. And he sat in the chair, and it gave me such a, you know, a humble feeling like, wow, okay, I'm going to do this. Because I'm realizing, like, he's elated for this to happen. You know, it's like, okay, yeah. So he really wants his documents and his IDs and something in his hand to be like the other, you know, kids in his pairs. He don't want to feel left out, you know. So I'm thinking, yeah, that's the right thing to do, which is the right thing to do. And I applied for a business license. I know he liked landscaping and weeding the yard and all this stuff. He always would say, Mommy, why you don't do gardening? Let's open a business. Let's do this and let's do that. I say, you wise, you know. I would say, why you wise for your age? I say, okay. So I surprised him. I was about to surprise him. I applied. I found out how to apply for the business license, and I applied for the business license, which I got. And he could drive for some reason. I don't know who taught him. I think his dad. But I never taught him how to drive. And he used to reverse his dad's car better than adults.
So your dad?
His dad.
His dad?
Yes.
Lived with you all?
No. Separate homes.
So what sort of relationship did you all have?
It was not a tight relationship, but we managed.
What about your son and his father?
Oh, they had a good relationship. Yeah, they had a good relationship. I can't say, well, okay, you know, because his dad wasn't. No, he was never. No, I never seen his dad say not even a negative word to his son. That was like his his all in all. They looked alike, more like twins. If he was here, they would have been twins, because probably the same height, same everything. That's Cornell Senior and Cornell Junior. So no, I didn't see any hate vibes or whatever the case may be. That's why it makes the situation way more confusing. Yeah, as it goes along, because it'd be like, you know, as a mother, I still ask why, but.
Well, let me ask you something. Was he a techie? Like on a, you know, like
yeah,
on
he used to love to be on
like
tablets and Facebook, and he knows like how to download like things that I didn't know about the Android. This before like iPhone was really big, but anything about Android, CJ knew it. CJ, put this app on my phone. Then he'd be Mommy. Boy, old people, you know, he used to be like, clowning, so he was not.
What they say with me.
Yeah. He'd be like, old people, you know, like stuff like that. So, he was a happy child. He was in a.
Okay, but I wonder, did you ever think about looking at what his watching habits?
Social life.
And social life. Like maybe he went into some of these negative messages.
Messages.
Whether it's violence, whether it's whatever.
Well, with what I've seen in his phone, the only thing I seen was a little promiscuousness with him talking to other little females. And that was it. And I questioned him about it. We laughed it off because I was like, okay, you're 16, you're at the age or whatever, but just let mommy know so mommy could know, you know?
Right.
So it wasn't, yeah. And the day it happened, I literally went out. I texted this lady. She was selling a Honda. Now, I know he was a pro driver. It's like, you know what? My goal is to make sure that he's driving before he graduates, or even let him drive to graduation, you know, as a surprise. And when I went out, the last thing CJ said to me was, okay. Because I said, I going out, I'm coming right back. I said, watch your little sister, I'm coming right back. And I left my key on the inside, right on the table, because I would think, as a mother, my 16-year-old would, I like, up to the day, like, just saying it has me lost. Like, I can't. And even when people ask me, I don't know. I can't answer you on something that I definitely can't give you an answer for, because I'm still looking as a mother, you know, for an answer, you know. And it's been, I think, about 5 years. I'm still looking for the answer.
You blame yourself?
At a point, I started to. Because I was like, maybe I'm a bad mother. Maybe this, maybe that. Just to try and get some kind of, you know, some kind of closure, you know. And going through therapy, counseling, which I'm still counseling. So that should tell you.
5 years later, and you're
yes, I'm still, yes. Because I don't have an answer.
Right.
And, yeah.
Have you spoken to any of his friends, or?
Two of his friends. The two friends, they were like, no. CJ was here the other day and he was fine, he was cool, and I was like, come on, like, nobody has nothing for me, like, I'm just, you know.
We're going to talk about trauma.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break and go down to Freeport for a moment, because this is something that's happening not only in the Bahamas, you know, it's around the world. And, you know, the United States has some staggering statistics. Our family islands are not only expanding in some cases with populations, but with this point of suicide, which is a social issue. And there are so many dynamics, whether that is rejection or the quiet pain and hurt that people carry. We're going to go to Freeport. We're going to meet Dr. David Allen, and you know what else? We also are going to talk to a young mother who also, in desperation, tried to take her life. We're going to take you down to Ross Corner. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.
The Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting is partnering with the Bahamas Christian Council to help build stronger Bahamian families.
I believe that our ultimate experience in living begins with God and family.
Our purpose is to facilitate, guide, inspire, and equip you to have a better life.
And a strong family foundation begins with each of us trying to become better individuals.
Let's unite for a stronger Bahamas.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, the heartbeat of the nation, leading Bahamians from dependency to self-sufficiency to economic empowerment.
Welcome to this very special edition of Taking Social Services to the People. If we just look at the cars going by, this is Ross Corner, you know. But there's something special about every path of life. Ross Corner is where the president of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson, lived. It's an inner city environment, but wherever There is the human potential. There's opportunity. There are dreams waiting to come alive. President Belinda Wilson is making her dream come alive. And here in the Bahamas, she's a legend. But we have just standing next to me another young woman who is living now in and on Ross Corner. Her story is a little different. She's 33 years old, so you still have time
Yes, ma'am.
to release the greatness in you.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
You will? What is your dream?
My dream is to become a professional information technology support specialist, to continue my education, advance it, and somehow gain myself in international status.
I love that vision.
Yes, ma'am.
See, it isn't where you start, it's where you end. But just look at what she is coming out of. This is LaShawn Fox. And you were suicidal.
Yes, ma'am.
What led to that?
It's just that thinking and knowing that you're facing problems alone, you want to trust persons, but then you're like, if I trust this person, who else will they trust with the information that you trusted them with? So it's an unbalanced situation, and then every time when you try to become better, things just start happening, and then your brain is starting to get jammed. And then all you're thinking like, how could I evade myself from this situation? And your mind becomes dark, your choices become dark. But above it all, you want to push yourself and outgrow that problem to advance to a lighter situation.
So tell me what now, what is some of that pain that you were trying to suppress, that you were trying to deal with, that you didn't trust anyone to talk about?
Okay, first of all, it's a situation with my daughter, and a personal situation. My daughter, her name is Alexis. She attends Centerville Primary School. She has a VP shunt, which is the enlarging of fluid on the right ventricle of the brain. And when they first diagnosed her, I was like, God, like, why me? Because I was a don't care female, tell you the truth. So if you approach me, I can approach you, and I don't care what the effects can be, what can happen. And then I was like, God, this happened to my daughter for a reason. And all of the negative attitude and demeanor that I had towards whoever it is approaching me, like it just changed. And I was thanking God. I was like, God, the suicidal thoughts, actions, it stopped. And I think to myself,
Thoughts and actions. What kind of thoughts you had? What kind of actions?
okay, sometimes I used to find myself like walking alone in the road, looking for ways, like if cars were passing, I used to be like, should I go on the road? You know, should I go somewhere alone, leave my kids to think everything is okay, but I'm not coming back? And then when I thought about it and I prayed, because I have a lady by the name of Miss Andrea Cox, she knows my situation. That's my prayer warrior, that's my counselor. I talked to her about it, and she was like, you know, just keep praying, don't give up, because if the enemy see you giving up, it's a spiritual warfare. They know they got you. So if you keep praying, just leave everything in God's hand. And it enlightened me to keep praying more. You're not perfect. You're not going to always be right. You're not going to always be wrong. It's a learning process, and you have to do better and want better, especially if you have kids.
You're living for your kids. We are here, and you can see the traffic going up and down. And I suppose, figuratively speaking, in our life, traffic is going up and down. Some speeding, some little broke down, but something breaks us down in our spirit, in our journey to life. You lived in some of the foster care homes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so from the ages of 6 until 17, 18, I lived in the system. The system is not me, because I'm a better person now. So the first...
And you say the system, explain.
The children's home, and many children's homes. So the first one that I entered was the Children's Emergency Hospital, which is located in the Carmichael area. I think it's McKinney Drive. I was there for many years, and the situation still had a little hiccups, a little problems in between. So my brother and we were moved to the Old Bight Children's Home, which is in Cat Island. The problem still wasn't changing.
What problem?
With my parents? Yes, ma'am.
What were the problems with your parents?
My parents, they were doing drugs and alcohol, and sometimes we were left unattended and we were not maintained properly. So that caused the problem, and somebody saw it fit to give help and let the authorities know what's going on. So we got help. My parents, they were told what to do, what not to do. We were moved from the Old Bight Children's Home to Nassau. The last children's home that my brother and I went in was the Elizabeth State Children's Home, which was the best. Because
Can I tell you, when you were in Elizabeth States, I don't know when that was, you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
But my mother for 25 years, Miss Bartlett.
Oh, yes.
Did you know?
Oh, she's a sweetie.
You were
Yes,
there?
every Friday, sometimes on the weekend, she used to come with others from the BFM church, Dr. Burrows, DJ Council, and others. And it was a golden moment because the identity that you thought you could get by yourself, there was someone else praying and bringing that out in you and encouraging you despite your situation. Keep it balanced and just let it be, because it ain't gonna stay the same forever. And the persons that I remember who made me better than I was back then, let me call their names properly: Miss Monique McKenzie, Miss Corley.
Yeah, hold on now. She's talking about social service workers.
Yes,
Yes.
Miss Monique McKenzie, Miss Corley, Miss Taylor, Miss Maria Kelly, and the best, Miss Shirley Kelly. Even though I know I gave them some problems, they could tell you, Fox, she make us talk. She wasn't always adherent to what we say, but I still listen and put the most important skills, talks, and adjectives that they told me, and that's who I am today. And I thank you all so much, and I appreciate it, and I hope I could see you all soon.
Well, we have to arrange that. But I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
this is a good point to say every decision we make has a consequence tomorrow. So her parents were on drugs and were alcoholics. It ended that they were displaced, but they went into an environment that the system, as she calls it, the government provided facilities to protect people like her. And you know, we always sometimes describe a problem. And that is the problem with your parents, for example, or even the criticisms of government agencies. And God knows, wherever we show up, whether it's in the home, in the government agency, all of us have to just commit to be our best selves, because we are affecting lives like yours. But I want to also say that I got in touch with you because of who?
Because of Kitty. As bad as Kitty is carry on, sometimes she right, sometimes she wrong, but I must say, Kitty have a heart, don't care if you African, Bahamian. If she could help you, she'll help you, and she ain't looking for nothing in return. She can't help you, she could say, you know, whosoever, I'll pass you on to somebody else, but I love you, Kitty. Shout out to you. Your season coming, baby.
Isn't that something? But you know, I hate to have to go, and I want you to give some final thoughts of how you want to see a better Bahamas.
A better Bahamas, first of all, start encouraging yourself more, praying more, and pushing out for more access. Because in the end, it's only going to affect you and who is in the situation with you. So don't give up. Keep strong, pray more, and watch God.
Isn't that a proud? Hey, I want to say, hey, I am so proud of you. But look at the difference that love makes. Some of you could have given up because your mommy and daddy are on drugs, but you decided to choose the other way. Why?
Because I'm going to be better. I'm going to make sure that the love is still in me, even though I didn't have it fully, and it wasn't there at all times. Still think about the positive and go for higher. The best.
I love her. You know, we're going to come back and we're going to talk in this program. Of course, we're going to talk to Dr. David Allen, but we're also going to talk to a young man who did not submit his temptation to take his life. His was a little different. He wanted to throw himself in front of cars. He just, or he wanted to steal, or he stole so that somebody could come and kill him. And then we have a mother who lost a son, her 16-year-old son, to suicide. But guess what? When we lift each other, when we help each other succeed, when we understand that it costs more to fail than it does to succeed, and everything that we do right impacts the success in a major way for somebody else. And I've always learned it costs more to fail than to succeed. Come on, let's continue to lift each other up.
You can now stay in tune with all things social services on any one of our social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, missed any of our Taking Social Services to the People programs? No worries. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Bahamas Heartbeat, to watch all of our programs and special content. Social Services is the heartbeat of the nation, taking our clients from dependency to self-sufficiency to economic empowerment.
I'm privileged to sit here now with one of the legends of our country. And he is very instrumental in sharing the depth of his experience and research in identifying the drug crisis in the 80s. And it's really amazing that you just met Ms. Fox from Rosconna, and we are here at the East Street Gospel Chapel. I've been here many times as well, working with, trying to help mediate with the gangs in our country who Dr. Allen always says what we are looking at today are the children of drug addicts. And you're so right. I want to welcome you, Dr. David Allen. I just want to say how much I honor you. We started our journey in the 80s, Say No to Drugs, and we did Say Yes to Life, and Bay Streets.
Bay Streets.
We're talking about suicide today, but I think it's very important to connect the root of the problem. I just came from Rosconna, and we had the manifestation of the neglect of a father and mother of a child, but she has decided that she is choosing the right path. Based on a paper that you wrote for the Japan Journal for Medicine. I was so proud when I saw your name credited for that. People just reading about you and Dr. Kever around the world. You were talking about the family is really the solution, and the crisis is growing. Speak to where we started with the deterioration of the family, the drug culture, and now how would you describe suicide and how that's all connected?
Well, you know, Debbie, I haven't fully told the story because a lot of things will have to go with me to heaven, because I don't feel we're a small country. When God has called us to a particular work, you share that which is necessary, but not that which is just to be shared. I saw the dark side of our country. I picked up the epidemic in my little office in Noel's house. What people don't realize is that at Harvard, my first patient was Malcolm X's sister. And she came in one day and she said, Doc, there's a little red, blue, green, and yellow rabbit jumping around your office. And I said, Jackie, I really want to see them. She said, you got to take the stuff, though.
What?
Notice I wanted to see them, right?
Right.
But the point is that she introduced me to that there's a substance called cocaine. The thing was about crack, which people don't realize, it was the first drug. Women take some alcohol, but when they tasted crack, it enhanced their whole sexuality. In fact, men get an increased desire for sex, but they can't perform. Women get an increased desire that they become almost orgasmic with the drug. So when they got the drug, it meant that women were going for the drug more than for their children. An example, a beautiful executive secretary. Doc, it was Monday morning, and she came to me and said, Doc, Friday I used my stuff. I watched my kid, she had a broken arm, shaped like an S. He cried all Friday night. Cried all Saturday night, got more stuff. Cried all Sunday. Monday morning, all the stuff was gone. And when I realized that I, as a mother, and I'm a good mother, Doc, could watch my kid with a broken arm, when I was taking my stuff, crack, I didn't even hear him. And he said, do something with me, because that's how powerful. She said, Doc, this thing is more powerful than mother love. Now put that in your pot and smoke. And we had the first countrywide epidemic of crack cocaine. So a lot of our marginalized areas, the women who held the families together were just jumping through the windows. And women who would be in the hospital, maternity ward, come to my meetings in Chippenham, get their high, go back. Next day I see them when I'm doing my rounds. Oh, Doc, I enjoyed the meeting last night. But I say, what happened? Well, when Doc came back, Doc, the kid was crying, So I gave him a whiff of my Comoke. He calmed right down. They were giving puffs to children. All I'm saying is be sold to the wind and reap the whirlwind. So think of the kids now getting calmed down with a whiff. I mean, that goes against it, but that's what happens with drugs. But the point was the neglect led to abuse. Abuse and neglect are what? Shame. And shame is the engine that drives addiction. So what in our country now, we have a high rate of neglect of children, and as a result of that, also a high rate of abuse of children. But the sad thing, the therapy has been lacking. We can arrest the people who abuse them, put them in jail, doesn't solve the problem. My point is, let's find a way to treat them. So I have hundreds of young men and women who have been totally abused. Terrible abuse, but they're doing very well now, and they're functioning. So the big question was now, we can get them and put them in jail, but the treatment in prison is not very good. So they come out and they're like bulls.
How do you determine the person who is charged with a crime, that they have the history of abuse and neglect? How do you determine who goes to jail and who goes for treatment?
Let me give you an example. Always go to the patients. I'm in prison, right? I'm going through this whole thing, telling how the abuse in a child or neglect in a child can lead to crime. So one lady says, Doc, you mean when I saw my brother being killed when I was age 10, if somebody had talked to me then, I wouldn't be in jail for murder 10 years later, doing the same thing what happened to my brother. I said, yes, ma'am.
So you're doing more prevention.
Right, so what happened is the hurt in childhood gets repeated over and over through their children. And I can show you end results where the fathers may have murdered and the children murdered and their children murdered. So shame is catching, it's a hidden epidemic of the Bahamas.
What do you say to the people around the world here in the Bahamas? Shame is stronger than death. That is a very, very...
Some more men are giving up. Some guys, when we come here this afternoon, they said, be Doc, I don't expect anything anymore. Like one guy came here and said, Doc, coming here, I saw the Humane Society pulling a dead dog. He said, that was me. I'm going to come in here. You can't help me. I'm dead. I could never get the kind of job I want. I'm in the Bahamas, but I don't live in the Bahamas. I'm not a part of that. So death is a release. Another one coming, the safest place to be in Nassau is St. Matthew's Graveyard. I say, well, because they don't mess with you there.
Why do we have more women who attempt suicide and more men that execute?
Women have a fraternity. They have sister, 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 child. In fact, the lady who ran the MRI clinic in Sandy Port told me, Doc, when women come, their friends bring them, child, take this test. And there's three of them lining up, friends, and we're not doing until you take it. When men come, you say, Doc, down to the ambulance, bring them. I do the test, but the test is too late. The average behaving man does not want to go to a doctor. So maybe have a pain, and they just go it and do it until it gets out of hand. So be ashamed to say I got a problem. So many times say, I'm always fine. God bless, I'm really fine. I'm blessed, couldn't be any better. But guess what? The wife is gone, the children gone, even both of the dog is gone. But I'm what? I'm fine.
In 30 seconds, how do we reverse this shame culture?
Okay. You know, it's beautiful, but it's a simple old story. Jesus Christ, shame in my work is the first needs of a kid, you want to be safe. When that's hurt, it produces abandonment. The second one, they want to be loved. When that's hurt, you have rejection. And then you want to be empowered. And when that's hurt, you get, you feel like a failure. So safety, love, and empowerment are three basic needs of a child. But if you look at yourself at 20, 60, 100, you and I still want what? Safety, love, and empowerment. And when the motor of life takes off, the first thing the kid has in shame is the safety becomes abandonment. Death happens, poverty happens, robbery happens, murder happens. When they see a murder, they can't even say it. If they feel abandoned, nobody's what? There for me. And then if mommy dies or leaves, they feel what? Rejected. I'm not loved. And then I can't make it. I do well in school. Sometimes I don't go to school. I'm what? A failure. So abandonment plus rejection plus humiliation equals what? Shame. The final offense for humiliation or feeling like a failure is control. And guess what? Suicide is the most important, most perfect way to express anger. Bam! That's it. So suicide is a form of control. So when men feel they feel they're abandoned, when they feel they're rejected, and when they feel they're a failure, they go to lethal means. Women have sister, and they have some love. They may take some pills, may go to the bridge, some of them come back down. But with men, they go for a gun or now hanging. It's going to be common. But the point is, that's the last effort they have to show the society we're taking control. But sadly, the men are on the edge right now. They can't make it. Rent is very expensive. Housing is almost impossible. Don't talk about the West. And so guess what? If you're a man, you can't pay for housing. The salary you get you hardly buy food. You feel like what? Abandoned. You feel what? Rejected, and you feel what? A failure. Those three things equals what? Shame. I call it the big F. When the big F appears, men think, I got to get out. The ultimate control he has, what? I can kill myself. But it's so powerful to tell the simple gospel story. You don't need to do that because Jesus loved you so much. He went on the cross. He was abandoned. He was rejected. He was a failure. And he said, Father, forgive them. The cross means that Christ, God's Son, came and died for us. All your cross you're doing is setting up the chronological fatalism. But guess what? The carols, the love of God comes down. And maybe you don't need your cross anymore. Why? Jesus Christ died on your cross for you. So you could throw your cross away. And I've seen men and women realize that the old rugged cross will ever be true.
That is so powerful.
Love you.
I love you. You have a book and it's on Amazon and you have to come back so we can discuss it. I'm going to order it. What's the name of the book?
Well, the new book, there are many books, but the one that you may find interesting is called The Family Project. The Road Beyond Shame.
It's been enriching. Thank you for investing so much in our people, in our country, and we are the better off for it. That was a lot of history, wisdom, experience with Dr. Allen. And we can tell so many of these stories. What I want us to do, before we go back to William Lund and our other guest, I want us to go to Freeport for a moment. And we have Ramiko Knowles on standby. He's an anchor. He did a program on suicide. So, Ramiko, I know that we have a lot of similarities here. Tell us what you're finding, the root causes for suicide in Freeport.
Thank you. So when we look at the issue of suicide in Freeport and across Grand Bahama, social workers and mental health professionals often point to several root causes. They include economic stress, relationship and family challenges, unresolved trauma, substance abuse, untreated mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety. Another concern that's frequently raised is the stigma surrounding mental health, which can prevent individuals from seeking help when they need it most. I think many people suffer in silence, feeling isolated or overwhelmed by their circumstances. And of course, these are complex issues, and those working on the front lines have a deeper understanding, which is why I decided to speak to a social worker to find out what their understanding is when it comes to these issues. When we see cases where individuals are isolated or believe they have no support system, mental health challenges like depression and anxiety can go untreated, especially when people are afraid to speak openly because of the stigma that still surrounds mental health in our communities.
One of the basic levels that every human being needs is the physiological needs: food, shelter, clothing, those kind of, but right above that, you have the need for love and belongingness. And whenever it is that you do not feel that you're loved and you don't feel like you have that support from those who you should have it from, which would be significant others, parents, in this case, siblings, you feel isolated. You feel isolated. So definitely knowing that point of not feeling love, that's a major part of why it is that can lead to this illness. Nobody wants to live life alone. And that living life alone is more than the physical. It's also the emotional and the mental.
And one of the things that was brought to my attention, and it was important, it was early intervention, community support, and open conversation about mental health. Those things are so important, and encouraging people to seek help, reminding them that they are not alone and can make a meaningful difference. And one of the things I often tell anyone that's going through challenges is that, after the rain, there's a rainbow. After the fire is pure gold. But no matter what it is that you're going through, know that at the end of the day, things are going to be beautiful. But you have to get to the end of the day. And if you end your day, and in this case, your life, you'll never see the outcome. You'll never see how beauty can come out of ashes. And so I would encourage anybody that may be listening to me right now, going through anything, to keep pushing, keep going. Because this is not the end of the story. Wherever you are right now is not the end of the story. It may feel like it, but it's not. So keep pushing.
You can now stay in tune with all things social services on any one of our social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, missed any of our Taking Social Services to the People programs? No worries. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Bahamas Heartbeat, to watch all of our programs and special content. Social Services is the heartbeat of the nation, taking our clients from dependency to self-sufficiency to economic empowerment.
You will never experience life without its challenges. And here we have, in our final segment, we come back to William Lunn, Alice Hepburn, two different outcomes. Life is a process. The former founder of Dudley's International always said, Debbie, when a slow one gets it, he really gets it. A race is not to the swift, but to he who endures the end. But I end by saying that whatever we go through, we can overcome. And here we have William Lunn, Alice Hepburn in different stages of healing. William Lunn, you are triumphant. You are an energized, bunny of enthusiasm, zeal, committed to mentorship, What was the turning point for you?
The turning point for me was, see, I never tried to commit suicide, say, take a gun or put a noose around my neck. And as I say that, there are different levels and degrees to suicide. There are a lot of people committing suicide today, slowly. Some are aware of it, some are not. But I say that because what I would do was I would steal from people who I know, if they caught me, would kill me. I stole from drug dealers and robbers, stole their guns, stole their drugs. I used to go in the middle of the bush, and I just didn't care. I was like, well, if I get killed, I get killed. And that's how I know it's spiritual, okay? Because I wanted to die. I reached a point, I wanted to die. I just didn't have the guts to say, take a gun and shoot myself. And so when I couldn't take it anymore, I literally just cried out with all my heart. And I said, Lord, Lord, deliver me. If you save me, I will serve you for the rest of my life. And in spite of me wanting to die, he had mercy upon me, saved me, delivered me, and set me free to help others find their deliverance and freedom.
Where are you in your walk? It's traumatizing. The questions you must have. Where are you?
Well, I'm in between coping and hoping. I am coping with a situation that I have no control over. And the blessed hope is I'm still alive, I'm still here. I have 2 breathing and living children, and I put the energy into them, into myself, and being better, piece, bit by bit, and understanding what happened to me bit by bit, every minute, every second. And with the trauma, every time that it comes along, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Peace be unto me. So I affirm words over myself, and I literally tell myself in the mirror that you are strong. You are better than this. You are better than whatever people say about you. Yeah, because you're a conqueror. And you have to believe these things within yourself. And that's my daily walk, no matter what. And I know that my son CJ, he's cheering Mommy on. Mommy, you gotta stay strong. You got Day Day, you got Cookie. Yeah, you gotta stay strong for them. So I'm here with you. And yeah, so my words are cope and hope every day.
That's really powerful. Have you done and are you doing anything differently with your 2 beautiful children?
I now, since what happened with CJ, I am literally on them. I watch out for anything. So I'm like 2 times more, man. And right now I can feel, if it's like having to balance, not going back into the traumatized state. Like if my son comes home, or he doesn't call me in an hour and he went out, I'm shaking, where are you? If he don't answer his phone, I'm trying to, like I'm saying, coping. You have to cope and have that blessed hope that everything is going.
You gotta battle that fear. Take authority over fear.
That's coping. You gotta grab it. Say, hey, you don't live here. You don't live here. No. I'm better.
Speak to the parent.
Yeah.
Speak to the parenting. Listen, your last comment. Speak to the parents who are listening to you now. Your final word.
My final word is, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I wouldn't. But if it do happen, God got you. And he will always be with you. That's his promise.
Final words.
Parents, we need to engage. Just engage your kids. Make time to talk to them, commune with them, play with them, do things with them. Because this is spiritual. This is spiritual. Most of all, pray with them. Let them see the light of the Most High God inside you through your love for them. Nothing is like love. Love is the most powerful substance in the universe. And if you engage them in love and talk to them in love, I think a lot of depression, which is the leading cause of suicides, would be eliminated. Kids feel alone. They feel unloved. Because, and a lot of parents, it's not that they don't love their children, it's just that they're so busy. And the busyness of life distracts us from a lot of things that we should be doing. So parents, I just urge you, I know it's a rough time, it's a stressful time, but make time to commune with your kids in love and tell them.
You know, basically, we have been programmed over the years to say that communication, the industry of communication, is the fourth estate. It really is the first estate, because what both of you are saying is you're communicating more intentionally. And, you know, depression comes from this hopelessness and helplessness. And hope means favorable, confident expectation. And if there is not the right communication, it's when the intended message doesn't get to the intended listener. The wrong messages are coming without expressions of love. Love conquers all things. And love is communicated not only in what we say, but what we also do. There cannot be a conflict and what we tell our children to do or tell one another to do with what we actually do. And I think both of you are right. What you say, you gotta cope to hope?
Yes, cope and hope.
Cope and hope.
Yes.
Yeah, you need a little t-shirt with that or something. And you talk about love. Most powerful. Love conquers all things. Then we won't be dependent on bad company that introduces us to spiritual error. Let me put it that way. You know, because all things starts in the spirit.
Yes.
And we can do all that we can.
Yes. Yeah.
And give the best parenting, but the wrong spiritual environment can influence that depression.
Yes.
And leave us helpless.
Yes.
That's what that is. So we want to move us, we always talk on the show about dependency on the government, but we need to move us from dependency on external forces to what you said, both of you said, to dependency on our Lord and Savior. Minister Miles Rhoda says that this is the Jesus ministry and we shouldn't be ashamed. Everybody's talk less. So we're moving you from dependency on ourselves and our decisions to make decisions without being principle-based. To move from dependency to self-sufficiency. Your son was self-sufficient. He wanted to be the gardener. He had the right principles, which speaks to your power in parenting, that he's not ashamed of labor that dirties the hands. It goes right back to the beginning, that the priority of another industry, communication, then agriculture, gardening, like what we're doing right up there with William A. Pratt and Simpson Penn. I love it. So that hope, that favorable, confident expectation gives you sight of a stronger future. And when we have a stronger future, we not going to think about killing ourselves. We love you. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, the heartbeat of the nation, where we move our clients from dependency to self-sufficiency to economic empowerment.